My name is Ashlyn, and welcome back to Medicated and Motivated. A few things before we get started with today's episode. First off, thank you guys for giving me grace. I did not post an episode last week, and I'm giving myself about 30 minutes to film this one, so if it feels like it's going fast, I am sorry, and if I don't get it done in 30 minutes, then there won't be an episode on Monday. I've just had a lot of chaotic things happen in my life recently. I have not had time to straight up sit down and just have time to myself. And that is the time that I usually film my podcast because those are the times where I feel the most inspired and wanting to talk to you guys. Second thing, if you hear a lot of background noise, I'm very sorry, but if I don't have my window open, it's about 300 degrees in my office and I'm already sweating even with that window open. So you're going to hear a lot of cars going by. Just ignore it. Today's episode, I want to talk about making the most out of your EMS program or schooling. I wanted to make this broad so it applied to both EMT and paramedic, and just give you guys 3 really large pointers to try and make the most out of your program. This is not going to be a study tip video. This is not going to be how to pass your tests or how to do your skills better, how to learn everything better. No, that's not what this video is. There are things that you physically cannot be taught, and there are tips, tricks, and advice that do not apply to specific things. And that is what I want to talk about today, because EMS is ruthless. Paramedic school, EMT school, AEMT school. I bet Fire Academy is also very ruthless. This could apply for that as well. The one thing to remember about all these programs is that it is a temporary suck. It's a temporary time period that you're going to miss a lot of things. You're going to be struggling. You're going to be studying all the time. You're going to feel like you're failing, but it's all temporary. The first thing I want to point out, and I think it's because I've had a lot of students at my work lately, and a lot of them I keep hearing are very disappointed with their clinicals because we're not getting a lot of calls, or it's not the calls that they thought they were. So my number one tip is please be realistic when you're walking into your clinicals. It's very obvious that real life healthcare, EMS, fire, even police, it's not the social media stuff. It is not the stuff you're going to see on TV. I have said this, I don't know how many times on my TikTok and even on this podcast. EMS is a game of roulette. Some days you're going to run thousands of calls. That's a little dramatic, but you know what I mean. There are some days where you don't even see the station. You are running calls back to back to back. You're clearing from the hospital. You're immediately getting toned for another call. But then there's other days where you only run some calls. You have hours of limbo. And then there's days where you don't run a single call at all. EMS is a game of roulette. Even the busiest services. I work for a very, very, very busy service in the state of Missouri. And there are even days, especially these last 2 months, where I haven't done anything until like 3 p.m. But then there's some days where I start running calls at 7:30 as soon as I walk in the door. EMS is not guaranteed all the time. And I feel like that's where a lot of the disappointment with the students come in. They're expecting to run so many calls and see all of these patients and see all these car wrecks and chest pains. Would that be nice? Absolutely. And I'm not saying there aren't clinicals like that. We had a paramedic student come in and he was ranting and raving about this amazing clinical he had. And we were all happy for him. He ran a cardiac arrest. He had a trauma. He had a crap ton of chest pains. And he gave all these things at one clinical. And we kind of had to break him down a little bit and say, I know you're excited for your next one, but just so you know, that may not be every single clinical you have. You need to have an open and realistic mind when you show up for your clinicals. Sometimes it's not all adrenaline pumping through your veins. Be realistic and open-minded when coming to your calls. And just know that when you're getting into a career of EMS, I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember the last STEMI I ran. I don't even remember the last big car wreck I ran. You don't see everything every single time you're at work. You see them occasionally, and we train and learn in EMS for those occasions where we need to use those skills. Speaking of clinicals, this is a very, very large one. It's one of my big soapboxes when it comes to students and when we start talking about clinicals, because I have seen it hurt so many students. Do not narrow your options of clinical sites down to only 1 or 2. If you're at a program that offers upwards of 6, I'm just giving a random number, but they offer multiple sites for clinicals, whether it's ER or ambulance. My biggest suggestion is please go to all of them at least once. I'll obviously use the example of Missouri Southern because I worked there, I went there, and I took this advice to heart. They offer, I want to say ballpark, at least 5 different options when it comes to ambulances alone. Now, hospitals is a little bit more narrow because we don't have that many big hospitals. We only have 2 level 2s in our area, but that's still 2 different hospitals that you can go to. They do offer a couple level 3s, but for the most part, they usually suggest to only go to the level 2s. But for ambulances, there is a wide variety of ambulances that we let the students choose from, whether they're rural. We have some hospital-based, we have some private-based. We don't have any fire-based because the closest ones for us are Arkansas, and that's a very, very, very long trek. And for some reason, we cannot get a contract with some of those services, which is fine because I feel like we still offer an amazing variety of services to go to. And what I see so often with students is that they want to choose the service either closest to them, which is, again, fine, but then they only want to go to that service. They want to go to their home service where they know the coworkers. They know exactly who they're going to be riding with. They know the area. They know the trucks. That's great and all. But especially paramedic school, when you have a lot of ride times, for example, I know Missouri Southern, you have to do like upwards of almost 200 hours prior to your capstone. It is going to be detrimental for you if you only choose one clinical site. Now for EMT, some service or some programs only have them do like 4 to 6 ambulance rides. I know at Southern, I think we require them to do minimum 4 and then they can sign up for more. But we still tell them, hey, choose maybe 2 of the same service and then the other 2 need to be 2 different services. The reason why is because you will see a wide variety of providers. You're going to want to learn from different mindsets, different perspectives. I may run my chest pain calls like this, but another medic at a different service that has a completely different setup of truck, protocols, area, different patient demographic may run their chest pain calls completely different than me. Now, just a disclaimer before I get into this topic. I am not talking to the people or students that physically cannot drive to different services. Whether it's weather pending, childcare, they may not have the mode of transportation to travel just all day, every day, anywhere to a clinical site. I'm not talking to those people. Those are reasons that you really cannot help, and that's completely understandable. You're going to do what's best for you in the circumstances that you have. I'm talking to the people that deliberately choose to only go to 1 or 2 services during their ride times. I have been preaching for the entire semester, you only grow when you're uncomfortable. When people go to their home counties, their home service, they know exactly who they're riding with, they know the protocols, they know the trucks insanely well, you're comfortable. And you're not going to grow near as much because you're comfortable. You're going to get into that same routine where you're doing the exact same things. You see the exact same medics. You learn from the exact same people. You're going to learn their narratives. I want to challenge your mindset. Go to different services and see all different types of medics, meet all new people, meet all new EMTs and learn from them. Even fire, go and learn all these different fire things because everyone does things differently. When I was in medic school, I did choose one service that I mainly ran at, but I still went to at least every service once. And I ended up going to a service for my capstone that I did not expect whatsoever because I liked that service a whole lot more. It was the most like my home county, and I felt very, very comfortable there. But I had to go and branch out of my comfort zone to even find that service. When you're a student, you pick and choose little things from every single provider, whether you want to be like them or you don't want to do something. You may see an amazing trick or tip that they do for a patient and you want to adapt it. Or vice versa, you may meet somebody and you're like, I don't want to do that as a provider, but you still have it in your mind. You would have never picked up on those things if you didn't go to different services and meet these people that you don't know. And guess what? If you don't like the service you went to, you went there, you experienced it, you don't have to go there again, and you can choose a different place to go. But my biggest piece of advice, please don't close yourself off to only 1 or 2 services. Have that open mindset. Get excited about being uncomfortable and meeting new people. And who knows, maybe you'll absolutely fall in love with a service. Maybe you will be like, you know what, this is really cool, and you'll keep going back. But you would have never known if you didn't try. My last piece of advice is take everything that your teachers, instructors, professors, whoever's teaching your program, Whatever they are giving you, take it and run with it. I'm not talking about just the readings. Obviously, please read your dang books. Like, crack open them books. You didn't pay hundreds of dollars for them to just sit there and collect us in their packaging. Yes, you need to do the assigned readings, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you go into your module online and you see maybe video links or articles, or your teacher is showing you something in class, or they'll be like, hey, there's actually like a really good link that I use for ECGs, and then they show it to you. Take those resources and run with them. Those teachers and professors and instructors are not just collecting this bank of random YouTube videos that they found helpful, these random medical journal articles that they found helpful. They're not just collecting them for no dang reason. They're not just sharing them with you because they think, oh, well, just because. I'll put these out there just in case you want them. No, they're probably putting them out there because it meant something to them. They thought there was something in there that was helpful, and they want to share it with you. Especially when it comes to videos and like medical journals, please take the 10 minutes out of your day, watch them and read them. Sometimes, yes, your book is helpful. Again, read your dang book. But there are some things in books that they're not going to go in depth about, and that's why those teachers physically sought out all of these videos and medical journals or even news articles. There are countless things changing in our careers every single day, and they're going to come out in GEMS articles or EMS. Oh gosh, what is it? EMS1, I believe, is the website that I'm thinking of. They're going to come out with their own articles and blog posts, and they're going to be free range for any provider that wants to read them. And since schools are ever changing as well with the new curriculums and how our career, just there's going to be things coming out every single day that may improve our patient care, those teachers and instructors are going to give you these resources to make you better providers in the long run. Use them. They're not just out there for funds. They're not just out there for kicks and giggles. Take the time to read them. If my teacher is going to give me a resource, I'm probably going to run with it because I want to be the best dang provider that I can be. And I don't know about you guys, but I learn through videos. I have probably upwards of 100 to 200 Instagram reels saved on Instagram, and I will take them to the students and be like, hey, look at this. Found this the other night. And it's just another resource for them. Everyone learns in so many different ways. Some people don't learn just reading a bunch of articles. That's why we tag videos in. Some people don't like videos. They like reading the actual facts in the medical journal, so we tag them. We try to give you as many resources as we possibly can so you guys can become better providers. But letting those resources sit and collect dust in your Blackboard or your Canvas, they ain't going to do you no good. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Go read them, go watch them, and you may be shocked at some of the information that are in these resources. And also, do you know how hard your teacher worked to put those in there? You'll also be doing them a favor so they'll feel useful and they will feel like they did a good job. All right, I know this video was quick. I've only been recording for 18 minutes, which I'm pretty sure is a record for me. That's kind of what I wanted. I wanted a quick, you guys can listen to this on the way to work. You guys can listen to it while you're doing your truck check. Just quick, easy information that you can easily jot down, take note of, and go to your clinicals with a very open mind. Go to your class period with a very open mind. These tips are so broad, but they're going to help you get through your program. And I also feel like this is the advice that not a lot of people think of, especially when it comes to the resources one. Yeah, they're going to be in there, but they're very overlooked. When it comes to the clinicals one, it's very, very, very easy to fall into that trap of being disappointed when you're not running a lot of calls. It sucks. Sometimes as a provider, I have found myself several times this month being bored at work because I'm like, I come to work to run calls and I ain't even running calls, which in hindsight, I'm happy because that means no one's hurt, no one's sick, no one needs 911. That's fantastic. But on the other hand, like, get a little bored at work sometimes, and that's fine. The biggest thing about school is to have an open mind. You are not the only one that is feeling the suck. You're not the only one that's struggling in school. All your classmates are. Embrace it. Embrace the suck because you're hopefully never going to have to do this program again. You're entering a career that you're so excited about. But you have to get through this program to start that career that you want, and you can do it easily when you keep these tips in mind. That is all. I hope you enjoy. If you did not know, I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. Those links are going to be down below. If you are listening on YouTube, fantastic. Hi, please subscribe. Please like this video. It helps me tremendously to get my content pushed out. If you're listening over on Spotify and also YouTube, actually, please hit the bell icon. It is a little delayed, but it will notify you whenever I post something. Also, rate this podcast on Spotify because that helps push out the content as well. If you like daily stuff, I'm very active on Instagram, and I try to post sometimes once a day on TikTok as well. Like I said, everything is linked down below. I hope you enjoyed and have a good shift.